Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Fee DeWitt, and I'm really looking forward to today's chat. I've been asked to host this interview together with Shandra Rouse, and it's an honor to introduce our guest, Gramey Browne. He grew up right here on St. Eustatius, and he just released a book called Dating Advice to My Daughter. Today we're going to dig into Gramey's unique perspective on dating, the lessons he's sharing with his daughter, and how the island has influenced him. Thank you for being here. Let's dig into it.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, welcome to the show. I have a few questions about what was it like growing up here on St. Eustatius, and do you feel that this unique culture kind of like shaped the views on your book and on relationships?
Yes, it definitely had an influence on me because I grew up here, and at the time I was growing up, it was very a high marital rate culture. And so that influenced me. I was married the first time by the time I was 20. And so the other thing it influenced me on is that I was not into petite women. I had a range kind of like from 160 to 180. And yeah, so those are two of the biggest influences.
Well, you like what you like.
Exactly.
Bigger the better.
What inspired you to write this book, Dating Advice to My Daughter? Was there like a particular moment or conversation that sparked this idea?
I started talking to my daughter about dating when she was in high school. I started encouraging her to date. I told her, you should be dating 2-3 guys a week, just familiarizing yourself with how boys behave, because they're going to become grown men in your dating pool at some point. So the earlier you start to understand who we are and how we act and to interact with us, the better and easier the understanding is going to be once you get the emotional aspect attached to it. And then, some years gone by, and then there was, I don't know if you know the guy, Kevin Samuels, he came out, and plenty of guys, when I talk to guys now, they're very, very aggressive by nature, the masculine energy, and then there is some that is masculine and toxic. And I'm like, okay,
toxic masculinity.
Yeah, the toxic masculinity. I'm like, I hope my daughter don't ever date any of your sons. and then sometimes I have to say, would you want your daughter to date a younger version of you?
That's a really good question.
And then, so they'll be like, well, okay, fine. So, so I was like, you know what? I need to start really writing stuff down so that my daughter and every other daughter out there can just get good information, right? So this book doesn't bash males or females. It just gives a unique perspective from my point of view, based on the generality of what's going on in the world now.
Yeah, I really liked how you said in your book it's a compass.
Yes. It's not a rule book. It's definitely not a rule book, but it's a compass to help you understand, especially you're hearing it from a guy's point of view, so you're hearing how men, and I think I'm kind of in the middle, I'm more of a centrist. You're hearing, how men, for the most part, thinks. Mm-hmm. And then you can either go left or right.
Yeah. So the dating world has changed a lot over the years, and what do you see as like the biggest quote-unquote challenge in dating today? And how do you address it in the book?
Now we have, you have the millennials, you have the Gen Z, right? And then you have, so those will be the people, I would say 44 years and younger. The Gen Zs will be like 24 up to 24. Since the internet and all the apps, what has been created for them, unfortunately, but then embraced by them, is a hookup culture, where they meet online and they talk and they share pictures and emojis and the high fives and everything. And then by the time they meet the first time in person, they think they know each other, right? Okay, yeah. And then it's time to hook up.
Because they've established a digital relationship.
Exactly. I mean, you're in the matrix. It's not real. You can't really feel someone in a conversation if they're not in front of you. Like, there's certain reactions.
Yeah, like their senses are not.
Yeah, it's not really there. I could talk to someone on the phone all day long. I could talk to some, but if I'm talking to you in person, even your comments, like how you just said, this doesn't happen online, right? So there is a realism. Human beings are real. We exist in 3D, and you see us in 4K or whatever, you know. But until you're in front of us, you're not in front of us. We're on the phone. We're on the computer, and so you lose those soft skills, right? The internet doesn't have soft skills. You can say a lot with an emoji, you can say a lot with but in person, you have to talk. You have to have a conversation.
You have to look someone in the eye.
Yeah, you look them in the eye, you see their body language, right? You see their frown, you admire the way their lips move, you know. There's so many human connections that you don't have online that you have in person. And that's real. What's in front of you is real.
So do you feel like because of the age of technology that's changed?
Yeah, because there were some people will never get used to like just meeting another human being. Like one person says hi and the other one says hello in a direct approach. So you see people in the supermarket, you say, excuse me, you pass them on the road, good morning, but you're not really having conversation, especially with a stranger. You're not having conversation with a person you don't actually know.
So what's your advice then to combat that? Because that has now, in a sense, has become the norm for the younger generation. So what advice do you have for women who's out there looking to date, if they're out and about, like how to break down that barrier? Because in a sense now, you kind of have built up a wall because everyone's just stuck in their phones. What is your suggestions on how to handle that?
The first thing, if you want to connect with more human beings in real, stop connecting with them online, right? So talk to people who you actually know, who you can meet, who you can reach out and touch. And I said it inside the book. Talk to someone who you can reach out and touch, right? So by eliminating the apps in the phone and having meaningful dialogue and do it in person, you automatically increase your soft skills and you have the potential to have a real conversation with a man, especially if you're a female. Guys do it too. This is one of those things that goes both ways. Guys has to learn to gather the courage like I did when I was young and be prepared for the letdown, right? But it's easy for someone to swipe left, swipe right, or someone to just not answer and then you move on.
There's no accountability.
Right, it's not really real, and you could be doing that while you're changing a tire on your car, while you're cooking food, while you're feeding the dog. In the real world, you walk up to someone and you say, hi, hello, I like the way you look. You know, oh, your hair is beautiful. You have to say it like with words coming from your mouth. And the other person has to hear it and give you a reaction, good, bad, or ugly.
Right. Stop hiding behind the screen.
Stop hiding behind the screen. And however you feel, you will adapt your approach for the next girl for the next time. And so that's how you learn, right? Because that's something that men do. We adapt and we do it very quickly, right? So if you want to become, or you hope to become the man at one point, it starts as a boy where you start doing the manly things. And one of the things that men do is walk up to women and say, hi, hello, my name is Gramey, you know, I like your hair, you know.
And what's your thoughts on women actually approaching men? Because they have some men who have no problem doing it, but maybe some of them maybe come over a bit too strong. So what's your advice to women who have, you know, the capability and the desire to approach men? What's your thoughts on
again,
that?
it comes back to soft skills. Soft skills is just basic interaction with another human being. And if you have that, you're fine. There is probably, I don't know, 5-6% of men who don't like a woman approaching, right?
Why is that? Is that like the gender role that you talk about in the book as well?
We are welcoming, right? You can walk up to any guy anywhere in the world and say hi, and he will not turn and walk away or look at you strange or look at you. It's just not.
Really true.
It's just not who we are. We're not. You know, that's not a thing. Women do it, right? Actually, you anticipate us coming. You watch us coming up, and you start saying to your girlfriend, "He better not be coming over here to me."
it does take courage though for men. So, you know, I'm sure, you know, like
we sweat in the palms of
So to us ladies, I guess when someone approaches us, we have to, you know, respect that courage that it takes to approach us. Yeah, it does.
We were thinking about it from like days before.
Oh my God.
Especially if we actually know you, whether it's at school or whatever, we're thinking like, one day I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to do it on Friday. And today's Tuesday. Okay, I'm going to practice.
One of the things that you mentioned in the book is the reality of a high value man. It's actually the title of one of your chapters. Can you explain a little bit what you mean by that? And like what should women, like young women, consider?
So most with women, it's a buzzword now, right? They want a high value man, which is a high value man. Normally, from a financial standpoint, he's financially stable. He has emotional maturity. He leads. He's recognized by his peers for the status that he has. He has a high social economic status. He's liked. He's looked up to. And most women want that. He's a provider, right? He can pay 80% of the bills of the household expenses or higher. And when I say expenses, not just electricity, rent, but he can have a savings account, vacations, family emergency fund. He have college tuition. He's saving away, you know. Kids can go to private school. That's high value. And I said in the book, there's about 20% of the men in just about any community, even here on station, if there is 1,000 men, there's about 40 of them you can consider high value, right? And the reality is 50% of them are married or in a relationship, right? Now, I don't know how much the gay rate here is, but in the book, I say about 3% of them belong to the LGBTQ plus community, right? So then there is 7% remaining. Most of the women in Statia is going to want them. The reality is there's not enough of those men to match with every woman who want them. So a lot of women are just not going to get a high value man. It also means you have to compete hard. You know, it's not like you're off by 10 or 12, you know.
What's your definition? Yeah, competing.
I know, I was like intently
competing. So a high value man, you have to know where they are, right? First of all, and then when you place yourself, so anything you want, if you want to catch snapper and grouper, you know, and swordfish, you're gonna have to fish in the ocean. Maybe you gotta take a boat, jump in a boat, you go out, maybe save a bank, I don't know, closest and gets, whatever. If you want pond fish, you just go to the pond, right? So it's where you go, depends on who's gonna approach you. So many women tell me, you know, I'm only approached by younger guys or broke guys or whatever. Well, I ask, where do you hang out? So you want a high value man, you gotta know who he is, where he is, right? If you want a doctor, hang out by the hospital. You want a teacher, you need to hang out by the school. You want a bodybuilder, you gotta hang out by the gym. Because that's where you're gonna find those people you're looking for. And then when you get there, men are we are the one that initiate for the most part, except for the females who can approach, right? So which means we have to see you. We gotta have some attraction, whether it's sexual attraction, intellectual attraction, physical attraction, then we'll approach. And then we have to have a conversation, a real conversation. You know, he'll say, hi, I see you looking at me over there. How you doing? And you need to answer, otherwise there's no conversation. Right? And once you get there, now you gotta figure out for yourself. Everything you see you want, you love, you like it, right? You want it. I'm ready to go. What does he want? That question has to be asked, because until you ask the question, you don't know. You can assume whatever you want. The reality is, if you ask him, 9 out of 10 men will tell you. Is it what you have to offer? Can you offer it? And do you want it? That's questions only you can answer. And if the answer is no to any of those three, just have a plan B, right?
Yeah.
Hope you have one, because that's what you're going to need to go through.
Keep it moving.
But if the answer is yes to all of them, well, there you go, problem solved.
So it's also really tapping into communication. Like you're asking people to be present and taking ownership of like the dating game. And
Yeah.
not being passive.
Dating, you look at it, anything you have achieved, right? I mean, and you ladies are not in college anymore, you're not in high school anymore, right? So you have achieved high school degrees, you went to college, you got a degree. You have to apply yourself, right? I said in my first book, work requires effort. Effort produces results. Results matter. Whatever results you want to have, you're going to have to work to achieve it. Otherwise, it doesn't get achieved. So if you want a husband, you want a man, you have to make the effort to do it in order to achieve it. Conversation is the basis of human connection. If you can't talk to me and I can't talk to you, how do we connect?
Yeah, there's nothing.
There's nothing happening.
Yeah, silence. So your book also discusses about masculinity and femininity in relationships. How do you see these gender roles evolving, and what are some of these advice that you have for people nowadays?
So I say, like, men are masculine by nature. It's our design.
What do you mean by masculinity?
Masculine,
So
one, we have
term.
muscles, we are more muscular physically, and our communication type, our projection is also more masculine, right? Women are more feminine, which means female, but you're more on the softer side, the nurturing side, the caring side, right? You show more emotion. Actually, you lead with more emotion than we do. You may go through where you never saw your dad cry. It doesn't mean he's not an emotional person, but we're so masculine, we're not going to let you see it. While you will just cry like anywhere, anytime, for whatever reason. Right?
No shame.
Right, that's just a feminine trait. But I also say women need to have some masculine traits, right? If you go back to the story of Adam and Eve, if Eve was in her masculine, the serpent would have never been able to convince her to eat the apple, and the entire human race would be living in heaven on earth.
Oh, it's such a tricky story. You're asking the wrong person. Yes.
But I say women need a masculine trait. One, she needs to save her off men that's going to approach her when her man is not around. So whenever he's not around, you need to be in your masculine. When he's around, you're in your feminine, right? Because what do you need your masculine for? Push away men that are going to approach you. Your girlfriends who are going to say, girl, you know where I saw him last week, and you know who you were talking to, and I see him talking to her again today. You need to cut that. You need to nip it in the bud. Hey, nope, whoever you saw him, you saw him. Whoever you saw him with, that's who he was with. I don't need to know that, right? And you need your masculine trait for the kids. Because I don't know how you were when you was a child, or how he was when he was a child, but those children are going to be like, what are you? And you're going to have to, and you're going to have to deal with them when he's not around, including using the threat, wait till your father come home.
I heard that before.
Okay? And so, but when he's present, ain't no guy coming up to you to check you. Ain't no girlfriend coming over, your girlfriend gonna say, girl, your boyfriend, he too serious, boy. I ain't coming around him. Because all that nonsense that she gonna talk when he's not around, she can't talk it when he's there. So that's where the femininity and the masculinity comes in.
But where does it come in for the man? Because
we're just always masculine.
Yeah,
We're
but
men.
you're never in your femininity as a man? Do you never tap into your emotions?
We tap into our emotion, but it's not called femininity. And that's a different conversation. That's not what we call it. We show emotion. So, and that's why we want a female that is emotionally intelligent. So when we come home, we can talk to you about whatever's going on. And if we shed a tear, you're not looking down on us. You're actually
give my
going to give us a
masculinity.
nice hug, and you're like, baby, it's okay. Tomorrow is another day. Don't worry, I got some hot soup right there. Come on in the kitchen. Or you can say, okay, baby, take a quick shower. Let's take a shower together. You know, so, that would cool us all down. And then we stop crying right away.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the concept of the first 5 dates?
So the first 5 dates, it's kind of like just an idea, right? Trying to save God. But I say in the first date, if you're dating someone for the first time who you don't know, right? Most people date close circle, whether it's someone from work, someone from a social circle, church, you know. But if you're dating a strange guy, you want the date to begin and end before the sun goes down. It's for your safety, right? You want to get yourself to the date and not have him pick you up, because then you increase the chances because you're giving him more control, right? So you want to maintain your control as much as you possibly can. But then again, if you are scared, if you're not sure, don't go on the date. You can't go out with someone scared, nervous. That doesn't make any sense, right? But if the date is starting and ending before the sun goes down, there's a high likelihood, depending on where you are, that everything goes smoothly. And then you're also comfortable because you can look around and see everything around you because there is sunlight.
Right.
Right. When you start dealing with nighttime dating, it comes with other responsibilities, and you have to make sure you're aware of them. If he's picking you up in his car, it means you have no transportation.
Right.
You know, you could get into a situation where it's fight or flight, you know, and then you have to deal with that. And if you do, I say, you know, share the license plate, share the make of the car with someone else, a trusted friend, you know, that he doesn't have access to, just in case something goes wrong, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a big social control here on the island, so yeah, less of that. But I do,
Yes,
I do
it's
hear
a
what
pretty safe, yeah.
I
it's
do
pretty
hear what
safe.
you're saying.
Yeah.
But it does get dark early here, though, so it's lunchtime dating.
Yeah, again, in Stacia, just about anywhere you go on a date, there's going to be about 100 people seeing you. So he's not going to do anything weird, right? But if you're in the U.S. and Europe, you can literally disappear off the face of the earth and nobody would.
Yeah. No, I really like that you say that, because as a girl, you always have to kind of be on alert about your safety.
Exactly.
Because if you're not going to do it, nobody else is.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's also a thing in the book you talk about age gaps in relationships, and you even go about like touching up on like, you know, in ancient cultures. Yeah, can you tell a little bit more about that?
So, age gap was basically most. I don't know if you look at the show Bridgerton, right? You had the
Love
dating
it.
season, exactly.
Same.
And you saw there was no people around the same age trying to date, right? Except they were probably divorced, and then they come across a guy who doesn't, you know, he was divorced, and now they're older. So most of the age people who date around the same age are divorcees or widowers, and then you have college graduates or teenagers in high school. When you start dating in the real world, there's always a big gap, because females are looking for a man. She's looking for a man. She's not looking for a boy her age, right? And that comes from women mature 3 to 5 years before us. So, therefore, if you are 21 and you want a real man who can provide, who you can move into a house with, where you can start a family with, he's not the 25-year-old, right? And there's really, because I was an overachiever at that time, but that's a rare, it's not the norm.
You're
right?
a unicorn.
Yeah, I am. Because most men in their 20s, we're having fun. We're not thinking about rent. You know, most of the time we live home with our parents, right? We're not thinking about rent and children and diapers and, you know. It takes until we get into our 30s that we start really thinking about family. And then by 35, we really start applying ourselves with everything that we have to try to make it, because we start to understand women don't really, or the kind of women we want, don't really want us until we are at a certain level. Kind of like we can't afford them, right? And so now,
Kind of like until you get your stuff together.
yeah, we need to get our. X together, like fill your cup first, right? And then you have enough to share.
Right.
But Sparrow have a song say you can't make love on empty belly. Okay, I've realized you can. You'll just be really hungry after. And now you need food. And somebody's gonna have to have the money to buy it because now you're both hungry.
That's funny. You know, nowadays a lot of young people are really focused on building their careers. So how do you suggest they balance career goals with creating a healthy relationship?
So I say in the book, again, it's ideal to date in high school and college. And the principle for that is when you prioritize career over family, it becomes harder for you to have the family you want. Because most women, when they follow a career, the higher up they go, they mostly want a man that match them or higher. And the higher up they go, the higher value the guy is, or the higher earner the guy is. This is not a metric of how men choose women. It's how women choose men. Men choose women in a completely different way. And so you have a mismatch. Everything you're looking for is not looking for you. Right? So you're looking for a man who's equal or higher, and he's not. He doesn't want his equal. He doesn't want higher. You look at J-Lo, you look at Rihanna, you look at Nicki Minaj, you look at all these women. They are not married to men that are equal to them in any way, shape, or form. And you look at the guys who are on top of their game, look at who their wives are.
So what are men looking for and what are women looking for? You mentioned it earlier when we were talking, but
right. So most women are looking for a man who's financially stable. He's an earner. He's a leader. He has a socioeconomic standing. Right. He's emotionally mature. Men are basically looking for women based on how you look, for one, and it's not just beauty, but just physical attraction. We want you to be nurturing, loving, caring. We want you to be emotionally intelligent, and we want you to prioritize family. We're not looking for someone who's a career driven, because she least likely know how to cook, mop, clean house, or even if she knows how to do it, she doesn't want to do it because she's pursuing career. A woman who's pursuing family prioritizes family and everything that comes with family. Raising kids, having kids, raising kids, nurturing kids, and being available to her husband.
So what advice then would you give the career woman who, at this stage in her life has advanced in her career, but maybe is just missing that partner? Does she come across as intimidating to men? And if so, how does she go about that? Because she doesn't want to necessarily, lower who she is, because she's worked so hard to become this woman, whether it's in her career, her personal development. So how does a woman who's on top of her game go out there in the dating field confidently?
She has to understand who the man is, who men are, right? And she can either find someone who how should I say, that she want to be higher than her, but she knows it's not true and fool herself. Or she can understand that relationships are about choices and trade-offs, right? The whole world works on choices and trade-offs. Now you can use buzzwords like intimidating, lowering my standard. The reality is, the relationship between you and someone else is between you and them coming together and forming a partnership, kind of like an agreement. So think about it this way. If you're making an agreement with me, but it's only about what you want, do you need me to make that agreement? No. So for me and you to have an agreement, we actually need to agree. So whatever it is you want, when by the time you come to me, you have to see if I have it to offer, if I have it available, and if I'm interested.
Yeah, so you're really asking people to first evaluate what do you want, what do you find important, and then communicate it to the other person.
Communicate it to the other person, because until the other person
agrees or disagrees,
you have nothing.
That's cool. You have assumptions.
And you know what they say about assumption, right?
Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about the father's evaluation system?
Ooh, that's. I haven't been able to do it yet,
Okay.
but I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I can't wait. So the father evaluation system is when the daughter introduces someone and says, "This is my boyfriend," or she may say, "This is my friend." And we know what that means. And I mean, we look at it from head to toe, and the stuff goes through our head like instantly. Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Who's his parents? How was he raised? Where's he from? And and then we look at how he interact. When she's speaking with him, is he paying attention to her? If he's at a family gathering, is he interacting with the family? We're looking for the good and we're looking for the red flags at the same time. A red flag, if a guy is in a circle, right, and he's not gonna, if he has bad intention or just really bad traits, he's not gonna want to interact with the family. He's not gonna want to be around the family. Like someone will say, oh, he doesn't like to be around people. Red flag. What human being doesn't like to be around other human beings? We're going to be around animals? Yeah. Exactly. So you wonder what he's hiding. If he comes around but doesn't engage with the male in the family, red flag.
Oh, I like this. What else is red flag?
Yeah, that's a red flag. If he comes around and even though he's physically present, he's mentally somewhere else. He's on his phone, he's on a corner, he finds this one person that he could talk to and just stick with them all day. Red flag. Because he's afraid of what others will see. Because you are so infatuated, you're so in love, you're so, all that emotion is going. Things that are right in front of you, you don't see. You don't identify.
Seeing the trees and not the forest.
Exactly.
Yeah, rose tinted glasses.
Someone looking in will see a whole bunch of other stuff and they can share that with you. And now you have a different perspective. And now you kind of have something you could say, oh, okay, that's what that means. Let me start looking. Now you start to pay attention and you start seeing the red flags before it's too late.
So as a dad, when you meet your daughter's person of interest, yes.
Person of interest,
how, if you do notice red flags, how would you handle that?
How do you say that to her?
Right.
I'm gonna say to her, listen, does he always just sit by himself? Why is he here if he's not really here? If he didn't want to come, he should have just stayed home. That would be the first, because that's the first sign you see. How he's dressed. I'm always groomed. How he keeps himself. Is his hair cut? Is he well shaved? How does his nails look? Are they black? I mean, if he's a construction worker or a mechanic, I can understand. But if he's an office worker and he shows up in slacks and whatever,
looking like a bomb.
Yeah, exactly. I'm be like, really, that guy, really?
Okay. And then you also mentioned earlier, encourage your high school daughters to date.
Yes.
So my dad, he didn't encourage that. He told me, finish school, and when I finish school, then I could worry about a boyfriend. So I find it out.
Was it finish high school or college?
College.
Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah. That's not
Damn, I got totally different in life.
Yeah, so
because now you're coming out in the real world in your 20s.
But that didn't mean I listened.
Oh, you listen? Okay, good for you.
So, as for like dads who have teenage daughters, that might be something difficult for them to actually say and express to their daughters. So what advice would you give to dads who have young daughters who
are afraid, because they know, because my dad said to me, guys just want one thing. So then I was like,
we do.
You just want one thing?
Yeah, we do.
I'm not
make no mistakes. We do. Actually, we want 3 things.
Okay, what are the 3 things?
Top, middle, down. We want 3 things. The reality is.
Sorry.
I'm a guy. You ask me what guys want.
No.
we want the raw, true advice.
We want your lips, We want, what do they call it? Let's see if a nice word, because we're on the radio. So we want to kiss you, we want to touch you, and we want the good. The good, right? The reality is, we know we're not going to get it tonight or tomorrow night or next week, right? But ultimately, that's the goal. That's the attraction, right? This physical, sexual attraction. That's the end goal. Eventually, if we connect, you're going to share it. The reality is you need to understand, if that's what men want, if you're interested, you know it's going to happen, it's up to you. He doesn't dictate when you share. You do. It's all you. You say no, the answer is no. Otherwise, if he proceeds, he goes to jail.
Yeah, he's
right?
crossing a boundary. Yeah.
When you say stop, he needs to stop. This is the reality of it. It's not a nice suggestion. It is the law. So, but if you grow up and just have fears, oh, that's all guys want, well, you will never date. So fathers has to talk to their daughters and say, listen, this is how it is. Because remember, fathers were boys. We were 18-year-old boys, and we know exactly what we
You know what's up.
right? So, but the reality is, many a times we went out, we got turned down by 100 girls before we got anywhere. And then by the time we get to the first girl, we didn't get anywhere either. You know what I mean? So we understand that, but we need to tell our daughters that, right? And so that they understand and they can make better decisions because they have better information. If you leave it on their own and they do what they want, regardless, like this one over here, who didn't listen to her dad, right? Anything can happen.
So what are some of the green lights? Because we've spoken about red flags, also green flags or green lights.
Communication. If a guy can have a real conversation with you, just a regular, real human conversation, that's a good sign. Because communication is key, right? If me and you can communicate, I can tell you what I'm interested in. You can tell me what you're interested in. I could tell you a joke. You could tell me one. You could laugh, not laugh. I could revise a joke. I could tell you, let's go have ice cream. I could tell you, let's go to the beach. We can actually start something. Because if you don't have that, what are you doing? Are you just hooking up for intimacy? Because if you're just going to meet for intimacy, well, you don't really need to talk. It's just time, place, and we both show up, right?
I think that's what's happening in modern day dating.
And that's a lot of the hookup culture. But if you want a relationship, you need to spend time. You need to have real conversation and share information and desires.
So I have more a question like island life. You know, how do these values come through in your dating advice? And you know, how, like you already said, like listen to kind of like what other people have to say about your relationships. But I also know that here in this really small community, sometimes people like to get involved in your relationships. How do you have some advice about that?
When you're in a relationship with someone, I can tell you that you're in a relationship with their family as well, right? If their mom, if you're dating a guy and his mom doesn't like you, he doesn't have the problem, you do. Right? The mother-in-law from hell.
No, you need to get on with the family, whoever you're dating.
And so, when you're in a small community, everyone has an opinion. You know what they say? Opinion are like, everybody has one.
Yeah.
Right? That's just the way it is. Now, can you block it out? Because that's the outside noise. And if you and him really have that bond where you guys can communicate, the outside noise doesn't really become a problem. You know what I mean? But the lack of communication between you and him becomes the outside noise is the better communicator to him or to you.
I see.
And then that's where you get the distortion. It's like the internet. Too much information is basically bad information.
So, if any young women listening could have one takeaway piece of advice from you and your book, what would you want it to be?
One piece of information.
Like one main key where you're like, I just hope that this is the main takeaway.
Relationships are about choices and trade-off. Because ultimately, it is your choice. Right? Whatever you choose to do, it's your choice. No one can't make your choice for you. They can influence it if you let them, but it's your choice. The trade-offs is you're not going to get 100% of what you want. You're going to get about 80%, right? In principle, we talk about the rule of 80-20, right? Most people want 100%, but when they get to 80, to get the extra 20%, I say in both my books, you have to do it at the risk of the 80% you already have. And most people that do, they lose it all. Don't lose it all, right? You're not going to get 100%. If you understand that going in, you can compromise. Compromising, you can call it lowering your standard. You can call it
70%.
I'm not up to par. You're not. This is the way human beings function. If you look at my mom, your grandma, the men settled, right? Because they had no choice. What do you think will happen in any economy if men don't settle? If that's the word you want to use.
I actually have no idea.
The economy will crumble. It will. The world will change. Because that's not a thing that men even say. I'm not settling. That's not what we do. We are providers. We want to lead, provide, protect. So we don't have a choice. But it's not settling. It's agreeing. It's finding the person you want and agreeing to have a life together and raise a family and live in happily ever after.
Yeah, I've always heard that like it's not really about finding the perfect person, but it's like navigating kind of the storms together and how you come out of that. Because
Exactly.
it's easy to have a good time with anyone,
Of course.
but it's like in the trials and tribulations of life, like how do you get through that and come out of it the other side still?
And you find for so many high school sweethearts and college sweethearts, they build everything they have together, right? Now the modern woman, for the most part, because she built herself, she wants an already built man. And this is where a lot of her challenges begin. Because, this guy is not looking for a built woman. He wants someone way below where you are. But he doesn't consider that settling. That's his motive. That's what he wants. When the higher up you go, you have to consider, in your terms, settling, but basically saying, I just want someone that I can come home to, or that can come home to me, that I can create a family with, that I can have a loving, nurturing relationship with. Because that's what you really want in the end. You're just calling it all kinds of other things, because that's your default position anyway when you can't find a man that's equal to you or higher.
Good advice. And we did meet earlier and we spoke earlier and you told me you were married.
Yes, I'm married.
For 23 years, I believe.
Yeah, I'm with my wife for 27 years. We're married for 23. We just celebrated 23 on my birthday, October 5th.
Oh, congratulations.
So I got married on my birthday, so I will never forget my anniversary.
Smart man.
Oh my God, is that why you did it?
No, there is a con to it because now I could never spend my birthday alone anymore. I'm stuck with her until birthday we pass.
Have a good plus
For my
one.
birthday.
But one of my favorite questions to ask couples, I have two questions I love to ask.
Okay.
How did you meet your wife?
I met her. We were doing what's the uploading again? A course in the Navy League. It's a voluntary organization, and we were doing an officers course to become the officers of the League. And she was going to the University of St. Martin at the time. She was doing her associate's degree. The dean of the school was an old friend of mine, and he had her taking his notes for him. Now at the time I've been through some relationships and stuff like that, and when I saw that, I had by that time changed my mindset as to what type of woman I want. I did a lot of bad picking, which happens, and I said the next time I pick, I'm gonna go based on more of a business concept and not my emotion. And so when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I want one of those. So that was it was more of an intellectual attraction. The pluses was she did look really good. Beautiful, I don't know, about 150 pounds, which was kind of low on the light side for me, but it was like, okay, I could work with that. I could fatten her up a little bit. But it worked, you know.
Okay. I love that for you guys. And my next question is, you made it to 27 years. What is the secret to getting there?
What's the secret?
Communication. You're going to get angry. You know, I mean, if you ask her, what kind of husband is he? She might take a deep breath before she answers. But in a relationship with two people, both people have to want to be in the relationship. Because the moment one person no longer want to be in it, it's over. It doesn't matter why. And it's not fair. But if you both want to be in the relationship, you will do whatever it takes to stay in it. There's going to be ups and downs. We're talking 27 years. Boy, that woman, whoo, you know. And any guy who's in a long-term relationship that long will tell you that.
Yeah.
But we both still want to be in the relationship, and that's why we're in it.
Right. Can't picture like doing it with someone else.
With somebody else. And so, if that's not the case, you don't make it that far.
And you guys must have evolved as well. Like you must have met so many different versions of each other.
Oh yeah, there's a few versions of me she doesn't like. You know, I think there's only 2 versions of her I don't like, but she got about 12 of them. But again, you have to work past those. So it has to be that desire, whether it comes from love, commitment, desire. You both have to go all in. You know. Marriage, I always say, it's more of a contract. A lot of people say, oh, you gotta be in love, and it's love that holds you together. I don't know. But it was a contract.
Yeah.
They asked me, will I love her and cherish her in sickness and health
until
death do us part? And I said, I do.
Yeah.
And she said, I do. It's a contract. And once you commit to it, then that's what you have. And you do everything you can to maintain. Otherwise, yeah.
Thank you for that. And then our final question we have is, what does it mean to have the support of the community here in Statia of your book, and what impact do you hope it has on the readers locally and beyond?
So the book is also available on Amazon, and tomorrow I'm going to be at GEMS from 3:30 to 5, and then at Boardwalk from 6:30 to 8. And the book is really giving relationship advice mainly to females, daughters, so that they have an understanding and they're not choosing solely based on the societal norms or the culture. For them to understand the fundamentals of having a really good relationship with another human being and raising a family, right? Family is legacy that we create. Every community needs new families and legacies to continue. When I was growing up here, I say in my book there was about 2,300 people. And then the research, when I was writing the book, the website had wrong information, but it was like 2,500. And I'm like, there's only 200 people after all this time? But if you don't cultivate family, if you don't prioritize family, and you don't have family grow and share information, you don't continue with the wealth that will go from generation to generation to generation. Generational wealth is not about finances. It's about culture. It's about people. It's about our history, our future. And this has to be cultivated, and it has to be taught. It has to be carried forward from one generation to the next.
That's beautiful, and I love that you put it in a book.
Yeah.
Yes.
So please remind everyone where they can get your book again tomorrow.
So you can get my book tomorrow. I'm going to be at GEMS from 3:30 to 5, and I'm going to be at the Boardwalk from 6:30 to 8. And my mom, Emily Cotard, the writer James by the Bunk, she has the books for sale as well, and you get the book there.
Shout out to Mom. Mom's always holding it down.
Emily!
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed chatting with you, and yeah,
Thank you for
Same.
having me.
Thank you so much for your time, and it's good to see you here in Station back home.
Yes, I'm back home. Yes.